Hey, what's up, everybody? Before we kick off this movie, I just gotta say that this channel needs your support. Seriously, please show some love with a like and a comment because it takes forever for the video to pop up. And that's because we ain't getting enough support. The movie kicks off with Dan renting a room in a hotel that looks kinda old. He gives the hotel owner all his information so she can book him a room. We find out her name's Laura, and she's living in this hotel with her daughter, Clara. Laura tells him she knew he was coming right from the jump. We learn the cops picked this hotel for him to crash at during his whole parole after he got out of prison. Dan goes up to his room, and his officer rolls up to tell him all the spots he can hit up while he's on parole. Then he hooks a tracking device up to his ankle and tells him he's got to be back in his room before 7. At dinner time, Clara finds out the new tenant was locked up. She asked her mom if the dude is like her dad's friend. We find out here, buddy, that Clara's dad is also in the pen, but Laura tells her daughter he's in a different prison than Dan was. So the little girl asks to go visit her father, but Laura refuses and tells her, "Every time I look, he's in a different prison and I can't take you with me." She then says, "Sweetie, why don't you write him a letter and I'll make sure he gets it." At that point, Clara says she doesn't want to tell him anything. She just wanted to see him, that's all. That same night, we see Clara buying some forbidden stuff from a guy on the street. Dan spots her from a distance but doesn't butt in. The guy's on parole and doesn't want any kind of trouble. He decided he's starting fresh after he got out of jail. The next day, Dan goes to grab some breakfast since the open buffet is only during the day. As soon as Clara sees him, she walks right over and asks him for a lighter. Dan ignores her, blows her off, and keeps eating his breakfast. So she grabs his cigarette pack. He snatches it back real quick and still doesn't say a word to her. Laura shows up right then and asks Dan if he likes the room. She tells him most of the rooms have issues, and she picked the best one for him. Dan asks her, "What kind of issues are we talking about here? Break it down for me." Laura starts showing him the leak in the room that messed up the walls. Dan offers to fix up all the stuff in the hotel for 2 months of free rent, but she tells him she'll agree to just 1 month. Then they both go out and buy all the stuff Dan needs to fix up the rooms. After he gets back, he runs into Clara. She keeps trying to talk to him every way she can, but he just avoids her. Then she asks him to grab a bite with her cause her mom's out, there ain't no food there, and she's super hungry. Dan agrees, saying, "Aight, but on one condition. You gotta back off and leave me alone." As soon as the food gets there and they sit down at the table, the radio turns on. Clara keeps asking him all about his life. She then tells him her dad's locked up just like him. She complains that her mom won't let her go visit him, and maybe her dad doesn't even want to see her, which is seriously messing with her head. Dan then tells her, "Maybe it's hard on your dad to see you like this." He adds that no father wants his daughter to see him looking all messed up. Clara then asks him, "Do you have kids you wouldn't let visit you either?" But Dan tells her, "Nah, I don't have kids, and I'm not even married." Clara keeps going on, saying how much she misses her dad and how much she's struggling with her mom, and she doesn't know what to do. Dan tells her, "What's with all the gloom? You're killing my appetite, girl." He gets up and asks about a job in the area. Later, as they're walking, Clara sees a stray dog and wants to pet it, but Dan tells her, "The minute you get close, it's gonna bolt." And sure enough, the second Clara reaches the dog, it runs off. Clara is surprised and asks him, "Why did the dog run away?" He tells her the dog just doesn't trust her enough to let her touch it. When they get back, Laura finds out what happened. She goes to talk to Dan and tells him her daughter's playful and might like him cause her dad's not around. But Dan reassures her. He tells her he would never look at a girl the age of his own kids. Laura feels relieved then. She tells him to come get the money for the food, but he of course refuses to take the money. He tells her to forget that mess. Since she doesn't want him to shame her or feel like she owes him, she makes him some food and gives it to him. While they're talking, she asks him about what Clara told him. So, Dan tells her all the chatter Clara was going on about during their meal. Laura tells him that Clara's dad wants to break up with her because he met someone else and fell for her. Dan advises her to tell her daughter. He says she's not a little kid anymore, and she'll definitely figure it out on her own when he gets out of prison and doesn't come home. He adds, it's better she hears it from her than from some random person. Laura listens to him and feels like Dan is right about everything. The next day, Dan goes to the restaurant after he landed a job. As soon as he walks into the kitchen, he's shocked by how it looks. Lou, the owner, tells him the dishwasher's broken. That's why they hired him, to wash all those dishes by hand. She leaves him and walks out. Dan preps himself for the battle he's about to face. He starts washing all the dishes after he confirms the dishwasher is busted for real. The guy doesn't just do the dishes, he washes the walls and the whole kitchen too. After he's done cleaning, he starts fixing the dishwasher. Lou shows up then and gives him a bite to eat to keep his strength up. She tries to talk to him and open up a conversation, but he just tells her, "I'm gonna get back to work." Lou then realizes he's not a social person. She lets him finish eating and leaves. At the end of the day, we see Dan still cleaning the place. He pulls out the broken motor of the dishwasher so he can get a replacement replacement. When he gets outside, Lou asks him to grab a drink with her. So, Dan actually sits down and drinks with her. Lou asks him, "What brought you to us?" He tells her the bitter truth. He's fresh out of jail. He says he figured he'd start a clean new life. Lou celebrates with him and tells him, "Welcome back to the streets, tough guy." Suddenly, he notices it's 7 o'clock, which means he's late. He runs all the way to his room. As soon as he gets there, he answers the cop's call. He keeps apologizing for the delay, saying he was late because he found a new job. The police accept his apology, but they tell him this is his last chance, and if he's late after 7 again, they're sending him back to jail. They then ask him to send all the information about the job he's going to be working at. After Dan leaves the room, he hears Clara talking to her mom on the phone. That day is her dad's visitation day, and she keeps asking about him. Laura decides to listen to Dan's advice and tells Clara everything. This is because her dad only has 1 month left before he gets out of prison. Clara is shocked when she learns her father decided to leave her mom. She keeps asking her so many questions that have no answers. Dan hears her talking and wants to leave her alone, but he's worried something might happen to her, so he keeps listening from behind the door. As soon as he finds her breaking down in tears, he leaves her alone and goes to smoke a cigarette. All of a sudden, Clara runs to his room and knocks on the door. He, of course, blows her off. She tries to jump out the window, but the surprise is that he's not even in the room. But then, she's shocked to find Gene, the guy who gives her the forbidden stuff. We find out here that he was actually friends with her dad in prison. He tells her to get in the car with him because he wants to give her something new. Gene gives her really strong forbidden stuff and starts to abuse her. Clara tries every way to escape him, but he stops her. At the same time, Dan is coming out of his room because he's super thirsty and wants something to drink. But he's shocked by a screaming sound coming from outside. He runs as fast as he can to find out what's happening. That's the same moment Clara manages to escape the car, but she's really cut up all over her body with a lot of injuries. She tries to run, but her body is too weak and she falls on the ground. Gene attacks her again and tries to drag her back, but he's shocked when he sees Dan right in his face. Gene takes off running fast. Dan tries to catch him, but he's shocked to see he has a gun. He gets real scared for Clara, worrying that a stray bullet might hit and kill her. But Gene decides to pull back and runs away. Dan then goes to check on Clara. He picks her up and takes her inside the building. After she calms down, he tries to find out who the guy is and why she left the hotel in the first place. The girl refuses to tell him anything because she's not going to tell him he's her dealer. She gets up to go to sleep. Dan keeps pressure on her, asking who the guy is and why she was out. The girl breaks down all of a sudden. She says her dad isn't coming back to stand up for her. She breaks down in tears. Dan walks out when he feels like she's completely shattered. The next day, he goes to work, but his mind is stuck on Clara. He blames himself for what happened to her. He keeps fixing the dishwasher until it finally works. When he gets back, Laura goes to him and asks if anything happened with Clara yesterday. This is because she has a cut on her face and won't tell her why. All she's trying to convince her of is that she got into a fight at school, but Laura doesn't believe her. Dan tells her, "I don't know anything about your daughter and she won't talk about it." So Laura says, "Fine, then let's call the police." He asks her what the reason is. She says someone might have attacked her daughter and she's scared to talk. She adds that she'll never tell her because they haven't been on the same page since her dad went to jail. Dan advises her to be patient this time and to take his advice seriously, just this once. Laura decides to listen to him then, because she feels like she trusts him. The next day, Dan goes to work again. The guy spends the whole day washing dishes. Then Lou asks him to come out and help her in the dining room for a bit. Dan actually goes out and gets a huge shock when he sees Gene at the restaurant. He keeps watching him while Gene isn't looking and thinks about what he can do to him. He waits until Gene leaves the restaurant and follows him out. As soon as Gene gets in the car, Dan attacks him. He keeps beating him up real hard without any mercy. Gene keeps bleeding from all over his face. Then Dan gets in the car with him and drives really fast until he reaches an isolated spot. He gets super mad when he finds out Gene is dead from how hard he hit him. He gets out and starts searching the car. He finds gas cans and some forbidden stuff. He takes the gas and pours it all over the car. He takes off all of Gene's clothes that got Dan's blood on them. He sets the car and the clothes on fire. Then he leaves the place super fast. But what Dan didn't think about was that someone saw him lighting the car on fire. Dan goes back to the kitchen after that. Lou comes to him and blames him for walking off at a time when they were slammed with work. Dan is super stressed and not paying attention to what Lou is saying, but she doesn't notice. Then Dan cleans the cut he got on his hand. We find out he took Gene's gun before he torched the car. He hides it inside the dishwasher just in case he needs it for something. He goes home at the end of the day, super stressed. The guy is worried he's going to go back to jail. As soon as he gets to the hotel, he takes a shower to cool down. but Laura keeps knocking on his door until he opens it for her. She tells him the police came to the hotel while he wasn't there. They were checking out a murder case of a guy in the area. This was after they found a car that was on fire with a body inside. She then asks him if he had anything to do with what happened. Dan gets stressed out right then, but he decides not to lie to her and tells her the truth. He says, "I'm the one who killed him, for real." He adds that he beat him to death, and that guy was the one who abused Clara when you went to visit your husband. Laura is seriously shocked then. She asks him why he didn't tell her. He tells her, "I promised your daughter I wouldn't tell you, and I gotta keep my word." Laura gets even more upset when she realizes how messed up her relationship with her daughter is and that she doesn't tell her anything. She tells him he didn't have the right to hide something like this from her because she's her mother. Laura breaks down in tears after that. She asks him, "Why did you do that? Why did you kill him?" Dan tells her, "I felt guilty because I couldn't save her before." He adds, "At the same time, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't want to kill him." But Laura keeps blaming him because he didn't report the incident as soon as he saw his daughter, covered in blood. She also blames him for not turning the guy over to the police when he saw him. She kicks him out of the room. She has a nervous breakdown and starts breaking everything around her. She completely loses it. Dan grabs her and tries to calm her down. He tells her, "Don't worry." The next day, the guy goes to work. He keeps cleaning the whole place like he's trying to clean himself of all the crimes, not just cleaning the restaurant. At lunchtime, he goes out to smoke a cigarette outside the restaurant. He finds Clara standing in front of the restaurant. This is the first time they've seen each other since the incident. Clara finally manages to leave her room. She checks up on Dan and doesn't know anything about what happened. Dan notices she has something in her hand. He takes her into the kitchen. He finds out she has an AIDS test. She's scared to take it, so she came to Dan. Dan tries to calm her down and helps her until they do the test. After the result comes out, they find out she doesn't have it. Clara is overjoyed when she finds out she's okay. She hugs him after that. He tells her, "You gotta go to school." He says she's still young and will go through a lot of stuff, so she has to be stronger than that. Clara is happy with what he says. She tells him, "You're better than my dad." She adds, "If he were here right now, he wouldn't tell me half the stuff you're saying." She goes to school after that, and the guy gets back to work. After that, Dan finishes work and goes back to the hotel. He keeps going to work every day and coming back to the hotel to fix up the rooms. During this time, the relationship between Dan and Laura starts to grow. Laura waits for him every day. She tells him everything that happened with her daughter so he can give her some advice on how to deal with her. She says she's sad because Clara hates her dad now and isn't waiting for him like before. Dan reassures her. He tells her he's still her father. Even if she feels like he abandoned her for another woman, she'll still love him. We find out Clara's dad's story. He's the one who bought the hotel and loved his wife and daughter a lot, but then debts piled up on him. He started working with a drug gang to pay off all his debts to them. Then one day, when he went out to do a new job, he got arrested. All that happened 2 years ago, and he's been locked up ever since. Jean was with him in the same gang she was talking about. Every time she imagines he was involved with her daughter, she feels like she was a terrible mom because she didn't realize her dad's life would affect them. But he tells her she's carrying too much weight and has been both the dad and the mom. He tells her he'll stay with them and look after them until he finds out where what he did is going to lead them. The next day, Dan goes to work as usual, but he's shocked by 2 guys storming into the kitchen. They have the guy who saw Dan burn in the car with them. They confirm with the guy that Dan is the one who burned the car. They kick the lookout guy out. They keep asking Dan a lot of questions about the drugs that were in the car, but Dan doesn't get anything they're saying because they're German and they're both stupid. They get mad at him because they think he doesn't want to answer, but Dan manages to let them know he doesn't speak German. Then one of them talks to him. He tells him he wants the price of the drugs he burned. This is because the goods that got destroyed were theirs in the first place. But Dan tells them, "I honestly don't know what you're talking about. I just wash dishes." So one of them attacks him and gives him a brutal punch to the face. But Dan is faster and punches him right back. The second guy attacks him too, but Dan knocks him down on the floor as well. Lou walks in right then and is shocked by what he did, but she walks out of the place so no one in the dining room notices anything. Dan goes back to finish his work. Before he leaves the restaurant, he grabs Jean's gun that he hid in the dishwasher. This is because he feels like this is the time he's going to need something like that. He goes home and manages to fix the gun and even fire it, but he gets a flashback. He feels like he's back at square one again. The only thing between him and jail is getting caught, and nothing is easier than that because of the tracking device tied to his leg. He spends the next 2 days in the same loop, waiting to get caught at any minute, or for the gang to come and finish him off because he burned their goods. One day, he finishes work and walks out of the restaurant. He's surprised to find Clara right in front of him. She tells him he's been coming home late for 2 days, and she hasn't seen him at all. Dan tells her he might leave and walk out on her at any time. He forces himself to say those words when he feels like she's starting to get attached to him. Clara blames him. She tells him she doesn't want him to leave because she feels like he's her father, but Dan calms her down. He tells her, even if your dad were here, he'd have his reasons for leaving. He says she'll never be able to replace her father with some stranger. He adds that he'll still be there for her, but not in her dad's place. All of a sudden, he hears the dog in the area barking. He tells her to go inside, but then he sees a guy right in front of them shooting at them. Dan immediately takes Clara into a room. He locks the door on her and tells her not to move no matter what happens. He goes and hides in a different spot. He waits for someone to come into the place. 2 guys from the gang walk in then. One of them goes to open the door of the room where Clara is hiding. She's terrified he's gonna shoot her. Dan walks in right then. He runs to the spot and makes a noise so they'll chase him and leave Clara alone. As soon as he gets outside, he finds a guy sitting in the car. He tries to attack him, but Dan manages to hit him and knock him on the ground. Then he takes off running. The other 2 guys follow him. They keep chasing him and shooting at him, but Dan hides. All of a sudden, he shoots one of them. The bullet hits him right in the head, and he dies instantly. The second guy comes and shoots at Dan. He manages to knock the gun out of his hand. The 2 of them get into a super violent fight. Dan has to bite the guy in the neck so he'll let go because he's all wrapped up. He gets up to grab the guy and finish him off so he can be done with all this trouble. But he's shocked to see Clara right in front of him. She stops him and keeps crying, but Dan tells her, "Don't cry because you're not a child anymore." He runs away from the place. Clara tries to stop the guy from bleeding out before he dies. At the same time, Dan is running through the streets and doesn't know where to go. He knows his fate here, but he decides he's not going back to jail. He shoots the tracking device on his leg. He leaves it and keeps running. He sees a car stop in front of him. He thinks it's one of the gang's followers and someone's coming to finish him off. But we find out that it's Laura, and she came to help him escape. The next day, we learn Laura managed to get him away to a spot far from where the incident happened. She takes off her coat and gives it to him to keep him warm. She then says goodbye to him, knowing this is the last time she'll ever see him. About 2 months after all these events, we see Clara going to meet her father after he got out of jail. She remembers everything Dan told her, so she wouldn't hate her dad. She understands why he told her that. It's simply because living her life while hating her father would make her life super hard. After that, we see Clara with the dogs. She decides to make them trust her this time. She calls them from a distance. The dogs walk right up to her, and Clara is super happy. This is because Dan was her father for only 1 month, but he taught her a lot of stuff that her own dad wouldn't have taught her. This stuff is gonna let her live even if he's not around. And the movie ends right there. I hope you liked this story. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.